Hey everyone, Edwin here at Ultra Team Development, and I want to just highlight a little bit about what's going on with Restaurant Leadership 101. This is a collaborative effort with myself and Christopher McFadden from the McFadden Group. And we both come from a restaurant hospitality service background. And we have a course that's based off of developing leadership skills within the restaurant space specifically. And I want to kind of guide you through a little bit about what our website looks like. And so when you go to Restaurant Leadership 101, it might bump you up into this URL up here, but it's all the same. And effectively, what we're doing is it's an 8-week program. It's 16 hours, so it's very robust. We decided to make it 8 weeks instead of 16 weeks with 1 hour per course. We made it 2 hours per course instead, because we know that time sensitivities within the restaurant space are super important. So if we can pack up as much as possible within 2 hours, as opposed to kind of spreading it out um, for X amount of weeks longer, was really important from the restaurant space. This is going to be our second class coming up. It starts on April 25th. We still have seats available, and we really have a robust system. So just sort of guiding us through a little bit about what's going on the website here. The next class does start on April 25th, and it's 8 weeks, it's live training. So there's no, they don't have to watch a recorded video. They're going to get actual access. It's cohort-based training, so they're going to be with other restaurant leaders in that restaurant space. And the whole goal here is that uh, the current workforce requires higher levels of employee engagement, and we know that turnover and churn rate is absolutely a major issue within the restaurant space. And so if we can make better leaders, we will end up with an ability to maintain higher levels of employee engagement. And with higher levels of employee engagement, you make more money. You're not spending money constantly just hiring, because you're keeping the people that you've got. So the way that this works, this is actually taken from Gallup, and the employee experience and the journey within an organization is, this hiring onboarding phase over here. This is where restaurants are spending just a huge amount of time, or all the way over here in departure, but it's not a positive experience for departure in a lot of these cases. People are just leaving, and you're like, what happened? And the part that's missing here is this in the middle, the engagement, where we're aligning purpose, aligning current values of the workforce, uh, understanding what the expectations are, and developing them, coaching them, having career growth. This part here is really missing. And in the restaurant space, it tends to be very, very hard skill based. It tends to be focused almost strictly on, can you set a table? Do you know what the menu is? How's your wine skills developing? What's going on with your cocktail upsells? Also, all sorts of stuff like that. But very little of it has to do with, how do you lead? What's your own brand and culture, and how does that tie in? How do you effectively manage change within the restaurant space? How do you lead with empathy? These things are not generally dealt with, so we very, very heavily focus on this develop part. That's what RL101 is leaning on very, very hard. And this in and of itself will increase the employee experience, which will lead to higher levels of engagement. So how does it work? It's 8-week program, live online sessions, and our first week is focused on human skills and a pre-frame on what's going on within the course itself. What are soft skills? What are hard skills? How do we reveal through transparency, vulnerability, and understanding levels of boundary with vulnerability and leadership? That's really where this is focused on. I mean, you hear, guys out there like Simon Sinek and Gary Vee talking about this all the time. We're actually just training it. We know what's going on in this space, and we know how to effectively make these things a part of your inherent culture. Uh, so 2 hours spent on that intro. It's important to note that all the students have lifetime access to everything that we produce after this point. So student manual updates, cohort-based contact, mentorship, peer mentorship, community within the RL101 space. They once they're a part of that course, they'll always have it. Week 2, we focus on empathy. what is empathy, what isn't empathy, levels of listening, understanding how to ascertain values while you're doing active listening, all that sort of stuff. We're at weeks 3, 4, and 5. Move through goals, goal setting, getting people engaged by understanding how to set goals with your team, how to make them drive their own goals. Connecting with them goes into week 4, where we're asking the right questions. What are effective ways of communicating? How do you communicate in a way that supports engagement and retention? Week 5, we talk about change management, but not from the logistical operational side of change management. This is specifically, how does change impact the stress? How does change impact the emotional state of the employee and the staff and the leaders on the team? This could be everything from menu changes to, seasonal changes. Do we have a patio this season? Do we not have a patio in the fall and winter? All of those things can have impact on money and et cetera, et cetera. So we talk about how do you actually communicate those things from a change management perspective. Week 6, we start to dive into emotional intelligence, how our brain processes emotion, self-awareness, self-management, and how EQ has the biggest factor. If you've got two people who have equivalent hard skills and one is higher EQ, they just have an advantage. And so understanding how to develop emotional intelligence is vital to the restaurant space. Week 7, we start leaning into brand values and culture. How do you define culture? How do you define the brand and the values? And that's also the individual values and the brand of the people within the team. And how do those line up with the brand that they're working with? And a little bit of wind coming in here outside because it's a beautiful day today. And week 8, we go through and we re-summarize. We hot seat all of the students. We go through, we figure out where what really stuck with them, and a lot of case study type work on week 8. What does this leave them with? At the end of graduation, they get a certificate of completion. So they will be a certified RL101 leader. And that should mean something because you're going to end up hiring someone who has RL101 certification, so a Restaurant Leadership 101 certification. That's done 16 hours of leadership training. It's not 16 hours spread across 3 or 4 years of maybe accidental mentorship. This is very, very specific training with all of our examples in every course, in every class, across all 120 minutes per class, specific to restaurants. So what happens when a whiteout happens on the pass? What happens when you've got a slammed front door and your tables aren't flipping because there was a slowdown going on between garde manger trying to do salads and desserts at the same time? All these things are super important, and only restaurant people and leaders and workers and employees will understand what that all means. So enrollment is happening now. It's $688 US per student, and that again includes a lifetime access to everything. And that's for 16 hours of training plus lifetime access to, they get a full robust 50-page student manual. They get the 16 hours of training, they get the cohort, they get homework, which they're applying within their work week. So they start to apply the skills they're learning for your restaurant right out of the gate. It's like immediately by the end of the first class, they're working in towards it. We do have group rates available for restaurants that want to put in 3, 4, or more leaders within a class, and so we have done that for a few clients, which is great. And you just basically fill out this intake form. So go in here, fill out the intake form, the name, email address, mailing address, all that stuff, so we can contact them. Who are they working for? What's their current role or title, and how many years in the industry? Send that all in. We'll contact you and get you set up. You can also contact us, via the website. You can email us. You can call us. And who's your instructors? Well, it's Christopher and myself. So you're getting over 50 years worth of combined restaurant experience. I know that sounds crazy because it's a lot of years, and we're kind of aging ourselves. but we really want to transfer these skills over because the restaurant space has gone through a lot of changes since COVID. And so again, next class starts April 25th. Get your seats in there now. We are at about 50% capacity, and we'd love to see a few more people join in and get the value out of the course. Thanks so much for your time and paying attention to what we had to share here. And if you have any questions, again, you can reach out to us via the website. Go to restaurantleadership101.com. All right, take care.